But about a month before all this happened, we found out from YouTube that there's new words that they want us to censor. New words that you have to bleep out or you don't make money anymore. New words like the C word. I guess you can't say the C word anymore because you know who will get mad. I'll give you a hint, it's not men. And it's not women with a sense of humor. Will get mad if you say the C word 100% of the time. Can't say anymore. One of the greatest words in comedy history. New rule. No more I know. Sounds like heaven. I don't know what's going on over at YouTube. I guess they must have hired a bunch of and to work over there.
Absolutely hilarious. Today we're checking out some of these amazing comedians completely taking down censorship online. Let's go.
Everything okay? No. Are you mad? You okay?
No, he's not mad. No, he is.
You're mad?
Yeah.
That's okay. You know what the cool thing about it in America is? Free speech isn't the speech you like. Nice stuff's not what needs to be protected. It's the stuff that you hate that needs protection, so that somebody like the government or you doesn't get to decide what everybody else gets to hear. Okay? And you're more than welcome to disagree and write an act and get on stage and sell out like I just did. You know?
Because I used to teach English in China. Google is blocked, but Bing is not blocked. Because that's how crap Bing is. The Chinese government went, hey, we were blocking these sites to restrict information. Do we need to block Bing? And someone went, no, you can't find shit on Bing. You type, what is democracy into Bing? Bing's like, oh, that's a long word. Type Tiananmen Square Massacre into Bing. Bing's like, Tiananmen Square? I don't know that shape. You type, is China forcibly detaining Uyghur Muslims in Xinjiang? Bing's like, mate. Google it, I don't know.
Right, let's get to the career ender, shall we? I've written some potentially career-ending jokes. Yeah, I think we all have come to terms with the fact I get cancelled in the next couple of years, right? Yeah, chances are. Here's the good news, I'm going down swinging. I used to worry about telling a joke so offensive I would never work again, but that was just me thinking like a gender-fluid snowflake. No, you paid good money to see an edgy comedian, right? It would be remiss of me not to deliver on that. And it's never about offending people, it's about making people laugh. If I offend people, that's just a bonus. And I believe passionately in freedom of speech, but I do my best not to offend any ethnic minorities, gender-neutral groups, or fat, disabled, lesbian nonsense. That said, this next 5 minutes is going to be closer to the bone than a fat girl eating KFC.
Stand-up comedy is an incredibly American genre. I don't think any other country could produce this many comedians. And unbeknownst to many people in this audience, I don't think there's opinion that it exists in this country that is not represented in a comedy club by somebody. Each and every one of you has a champion in the room. We watch you guys fight, but when we're together, we talk it out. I know comics that are very racist, and I watch them on stage, and everyone's laughing, and I'm like, that mother means that. Don't get mad at them, don't hate them. We go upstairs and have a beer, and sometimes I even appreciate the artistry that they paint their racist opinions with. Man, it's not that serious. The First Amendment is first for a reason. The Second Amendment is just in case the first one doesn't work out.
Dave Chappelle, absolute legend as always. He's right about this. Make sure you like and subscribe if you enjoy the content. And you can also become a member and support me so I can keep making great videos like this one for you in the future.
I'm a great believer that artists should never apologize for their art. It's a cyclical thing. 1 minute, certain jokes or certain attitudes and outlooks are just out of fashion. And in the end, you know, the whole point of a joke is to entertain people. And if people are not entertained, then you haven't, you know, fulfilled your brief. And so you know, I'm a great believer that we must have free expression, and in comedy you must be able to make jokes about absolutely anything. I mean, the only question is you would be wise to choose a context in which it's going to be appreciated, because not all jokes suit all contexts. You know, the joke you tell around a table in a restaurant with some friends is not necessarily something for primetime TV. You know, that's a pretty obvious statement, but you'd be surprised how people like to abuse the context of comedy. And people often say, you know, did you hear that joke that comedian said in that Netflix special? You know, did you think that was right or wrong? And all I say is, I wasn't there. I haven't heard the joke. I wasn't in the audience when the comedian said it. I don't know what the atmosphere was in the room. If people pay to see a comedian, they've got to accept whatever they provide. I'm a great believer that artists should never apologize for their art. You
That
put something
totally
out
makes
there.
sense to me.
This administration has pushed things so far and has politicized our governmental agencies and has ideologically captured them to a place where it is deserving of ridicule and it is deserving of mocking, and where it's dangerous. Shouting down is the worst form of debate. But let us have a discourse, and you don't get smooth from smooth, you get it from friction. But if you've got ideas, if the Democrats have ideas and the Republicans have ideas, let's do them. But when this administration, the Biden-Harris administration, worked with tech companies to censor Americans who turned out to be right, and which is a blatant violation of our First Amendment. And our First Amendment, our founding fathers, they could have put guns first, but they said, you know, it's an even better tool to defend against tyranny, free speech. It really sends a message out there that there are two Americas, and they were only going to go after you if you're on the other side. That is not a house that will stand.
America, I am grateful for the freedom I have. Very different in China. My parents still live there. They can't see anything I post, right? It's all blocked. Just the way I like it. Yeah, what gave me the ultimate freedom from my mom is China's censorship. My mom had no say in my life whatsoever. She thinks she does. That's how dystopia works. She called me the other day. Oh, why didn't you email me the picture from your trip? Oh, you didn't get them? Well, must be the government.
That was a funny skit. She's a great comedian. I think she's gonna do great in the future.
Censorship frustrate you?
Well, it doesn't frustrate me because I don't pay any attention to it, and I never have. When I started Yuck Yucks, I had two goals. Well, a bunch of other goals that were personal, but I had two comedy goals. One was to keep the Canadian comedy business Canadian and hire Canadians first, which I've done. And I'm proud to say I have put millions, probably $30 million in the hands of Canadian comedians over the years.
My job is not to self-censor.
Right.
Because there's no real censorship in our culture. You can say what you want, right? There's freedom of speech, not freedom of consequence. People will be upset at you, but you'll be fine. But you have to resist those kind of hate speech laws, the idea of like this encroachment of like, oh, well, I'm worried that I might upset people, so I better not say that thing.
Yes.
You go, no, if it's funny, and if you're thinking about it, you think it's funny, you have to be authentic and say it, and trust that the audience will get it's a joke.
Right.
I think I'm pretty edgy in terms of what I'm willing to talk
Edgy.
about.
You always use the word edgy, don't you?
Yeah. It's because you want to be kind of right on the edge of what's the great thing about edgy jokes. Like, it only pays out. Having a dark sense of humor, dark, edgy, however you want it, controversial, having that sense of humor only pays out when life is awful. When someone dies, when you get the diagnosis, when the world is just too brutal to comprehend, right? People that are easily offended, they've just got a white knuckle that day. At least we get to laugh.
It truly possesses me off that some absolute eye contact dodging sweaty hand lock blocker decides how we get to talk through text with their autocorrect puritanical church-going trash. Like, you tech dorks, please duck off. Get fully trucked and let adults speak like adults. Your mother's a floor.
That sums up my sentiment exactly. Just duck off and let us speak.
I'm a big guy, as you know. You saw my last night.
Ugh. Like a bomb went off. Honestly, if my wife did that, I'd give her divorce papers. If my wife did like you do.
They come out clean.
No way. There's no way. It's like on top of I don't know how it closes. Do you take your top off?
No.
Okay. All right.
I will take a video unveiling of the and show you. Spotless.
All right. You must have a really good dishwasher.
This is what a video would sound like if censorship would get wild. And this has to be prevented at all costs.
Do people look at you as a conservative, or what does that mean to you? Or
you know, it's so funny. I do Louder with Crowder sometimes, and I think COVID kind of got me a little bit more vocal about what I thought was an overreaction. When I'm called, I mean, they wrote an article about me being far right, which is unbelievable to me.
Yeah.
And it's just like, you know, I guess now we've gotten to a point where if you question certain policies, if you're skeptical about, I don't know, it could be global warming, which I don't know much about. I don't have a point of view on that. You have questions about this new gender ideology.
Right.
You don't buy it hook, line, and sinker.
Correct.
You are immediately considered far right, and you'll be censored for even interviewing doctors and scientists that have studied these.
Like Jay Bhattacharya.
Yeah.
And again,
who have a different point of view.
Right.
So that I guess is what I always worry about.
Hey man, it's all kicking off across the road. Watch this. Oh wow, that does not look good. It's just awful, isn't it? You've got to step in. Oh, of course. Because I mean, you pretty much run the neighborhood these days. Ah, thank you. I just want a fair and equal society for all of us, really. Same. That's why I'm counting on you to coordinate the whole community to put this nightmare to an end. I mean, it's really just... Sorry, am I getting quieter? I don't think so. I am. What the heck? Are you silencing me? This is outrageous. I'm gonna... that's better.
That was a funny skit. Obviously, big tech censorship is going out of control and they have to be stopped, honestly. Free speech is a human right. It is our most important right and it should be preserved at all costs.
In 2021, Facebook announced they'd be changing the way they handle satire. They said they'd allow it, but with new limitations that prevent satirists from making jokes about marginalized people who lack power and privilege. True satire, they said, does not punch down. These are their words. They said, indeed, humor can be an effective mode of communicating hateful ideas. It used to be the number one rule of comedy was what? Be funny, right? Write jokes that people laugh at. Now the number one rule of comedy is don't punch down. And I think it's the most insane thing ever to put comedians in a situation where when they're writing a joke, they have to think to themselves, you know what? I shouldn't joke about those people. They're beneath me. One way that I put it is this. If you have both the will and the power to punish anyone who so much as jokes at your expense, are you in a position of powerlessness? Are you marginalized? So I think it's actually the opposite of what they say. I think these are the most powerful people in the world. If anything, we're punching back. I think we're punching up.
Well said. Very much well said. I totally agree with the CEO of Babylon Bee right there.
Talk about the Donald!
Oh, no?
No!
Oh, I thought this was America. That's so weird. Oh, my God. Don't talk about that. That's exactly what they would say in Russia. Don't talk about Vladimir Putin that way. Don't talk about the Donald. He's got you programmed, man. Wow. And at least Putin's like a scary guy. Trump's an idiot. You listen to what he says? We used to have freedom of speech in America. That was part of the country, if you remember that. Pre-Trump, that was freedom of speech. I love the whole anthem debate he's very upset about always. Apparently now in America, you have to stand. You must stand while somebody sings, Land of the Free. Better stand during the free part of that song. better stand up when he says how free we are. We don't use our damn brains anymore, I swear to God. You gotta hand it to Trump, though. The guy is a brilliant communicator. He really is.
This guy
And
is
the
funny.
Babylon Bee saw this headline, and one of our writers decided, he's like, well, what if we just did this? What if we just name Rachel Levine our pick for Man of the Year? And then Kyle, our editor-in-chief, said, dude, you're going to get us kicked off of Facebook and Twitter. And he said, LOL, I know. I distinguish between two different kinds of censorship. There's the hard censorship where they actually take your content down and remove it. That happens all the time when you put something up there and they decide that it violates their terms and they pull it down. Worse than that and more common than that is the soft censorship that happens because people know that there's going to be a penalty if they say something, and so they bite their own tongues and refuse to speak. And so we don't want to play any part in that. We don't want to be people who censor ourselves and play into their hands and essentially do the tyrant's work for him. Why would we do that? Why would we contribute to this ongoing problem of the stifling of speech by zipping our own mouths shut? So we hit send tweet and posted this joke. The Babylon Bee's Man of the Year is Rachel Levine. And they did not like that very much. We were locked out of our account for hateful conduct because the truth is now hate speech in our current culture.
What books do you want to ban?
What books do I want to ban? I don't. It's such a weird thing that Florida was just kind of like, we're done with reading. Yeah, what books do I want to ban? Mein Kampf? I don't know. But then what will DeSantis read for inspiration?
Just long ones. Get to the point. What's this wizard boy gonna do?
Other people want to ban Harry Potter because they're like, it's witchcraft. And John's like, it's long.
It's so long. This chamber needs to be less secret.
What?
What do you...
Obviously, nobody wants to ban books, but don't put overly sexual books in children's library. That's sad, honestly.
Feel the benefits of censorship are? Where is there a scenario where the concept of censorship is valid?
So a fish doesn't know it's swimming in water until you take some of the water away. And the water is probably the most valuable thing to the fish. The main benefit of censorship is it teaches us to value our freedom. It teaches us to appreciate the ability to speak words and have free human expression, which I think is our God-given state.
Tell me about this book you have with you.
It's called You Can Do It. First time I've ever said that publicly. Speak Your Mind. It's a free speech book. It's about free speech in America and the world and how important it is. And that there's a reason why it's our First Amendment, because our founding fathers considered the protection of against tyranny the most important was free speech more than guns, and guns was second.
As a comedian, being able to speak your mind and talk about whether it's issues or other things, like how have you seen that affect your comedy or just comedy in general when it comes to free speech and cancel culture?
Well, you learn from the greats that it's a challenge, and it makes it more interesting, but you got to do your work. You got to get to things in a more interesting way. I would say that the more conflict in society, the better opportunity is for art, because people are trying to rediscover what their society is again. And that's cool. I like that. I'm not afraid of that. I welcome it. I don't want it to be easy.
Rob Schneider is great. He's a great comedian. I just love his work and what he said right there.
If we want to, and I think we should want to, take on the disgusting bigotry and racism that we've seen expressed online and off 100%. In recent days, recognise free speech as our best weapon in that. This is something that the US civil rights movement always used to say. The early gay rights movement referred to free speech as their greatest weapon against prejudice, because by definition, it's the groups who are marginalised in society who are going to be most likely to be targeted by repressive laws. We need to kind of regain our faith in freedom of speech as a way of battling untruths. And we also need to recognise the role that censorship has already played in emboldening the handful of far-right and hard-right agitators that we have. When they were kicked off of social media platforms en masse, when they were, in some cases, arrested, they were given the status of truth tellers, even though a lot of these people lie every day of the week. Getting back to a position where freedom of speech is seen as a fundamental thing, and also a fundamental way in which to target and tackle the attitudes and the trends that we dislike, the much healthier space that we'll be in, I think.
I agree. Free speech has to be protected at all costs, even if you don't like it.
We've had free speech for a very, very long time in the United Kingdom, and it will last for a very, very long time.
We do have, of course, a special relationship with our friends in the UK and also with some of our European allies. But we also know that there have been infringements on free speech that actually affect not just the British. Of course, what the British do in their own country is up to them, but also affect American technology companies and by extension American citizens. So that is something that we'll talk about today at lunch.
We've had free speech for a very, very long time in the United Kingdom, and it will last for a very, very long time. Well, no, I mean, certainly we wouldn't want to reach across US citizens, and we don't, and that's absolutely right. But in relation to free speech in the UK, I'm very proud of our history there.
Europe. Well, I'm not sure if I agree with him. If people are raising concerns, then it should definitely listen to them and do something about it.
Europe has changed dramatically. There is no freedom of speech in Europe anymore. We saw the head of Telegram, Pavlo Durov, torn out of his airplane when he stopped to refuel in France. And Thierry Breton, who's the chairman of the European Commission, threatening Elon Musk that if he interviewed Donald Trump live on X Spaces, that he would be prosecuted criminally and civilly. We saw 3 weeks ago Brazil censor Twitter and censor a lot of other social media sites. So you're seeing this rise of censorship, of totalitarianism all around the world. And I think the only hope to prevent that in this country is Donald Trump. If Kamala gets in there, this is what's going to happen.
I must agree. Honestly, he's right about this.
Maybe January 6th, while appalling on one level, maybe it was not an insurrection.
So let me talk about. I haven't talked about this much in the campaign. I'll be very honest with you. You want to know what caused January 6th? There's such a temptation to say that there's one man whose name is unspeakable. We can't.
No, first of all, it's QAnon. It's QAnon.
It's QAnon. You want to know what caused January 6th? Is pervasive censorship in this country in the lead up to January 6th. You tell people in this country they cannot speak, that is when they scream. You tell people they cannot scream, that is when they tear things down. And so the reality is, we were told that you could not question where the virus came from when we all knew it came from a lab in Wuhan, which now they admit. We were told that you could not send a private message to someone on the eve of an election that Hunter Biden's laptop story was actually a true story worth considering before an election. You were systematically suppressed. So think about this. You told you had to be locked down, had to take a vaccine that was mandated and forced down your throat, stay locked down in your home while Antifa and BLM roam and burn the streets of this country. So that's the lead up of 1 full year of telling people you have to shut up, sit down, and do as you're told. And then you tell them, okay, there's an election where you didn't get the information that you needed, such as the Hunter Biden laptop story being real and suppressed. That's what caused January 6th, is a cycle of censorship in this country. And until we look ourselves in the mirror and admit truth on that, we will not move forward as a country. And I think that's the real cause. And I'm sorry to say this, Tucker, but I think until we reckon with that reality, I worry that is the beginning of, it's a friendly parley compared to what's to come, unless we step up and speak truth, restore integrity, and actually lead us to who we are as a people, rather than sweeping the truth under the rug.
Absolutely amazing. Vivek Ramaswamy, as always, speaking out the truth. We have to step up and fight back against oppression, fight back against censorship, and defend free speech at all costs. Free speech is a part of us. Free speech is our God-given right to express ourselves the way we want it to be. And it has to be defended, it has to be protected. People started revolutions to defend free speech. People fight and die to defend free speech all over the world. And in America, free speech is in the First Amendment of the Constitution. It is the utmost important right for all people. And it is sad to see that free speech is now in danger, especially in the comedy world. And it has to be defended. We have to defend free speech. We have to fight against censorship. I think comedians should be protected. I think we should be able to crack jokes about anything and everything, even if you find it offensive or hateful. Let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree. This is a very important topic, and I appreciate you being here with me today and staying with me till the end. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed it. You can also join the channel and become a member to help me make comedy great again. Thank you. I appreciate you being here. I enjoyed making this video. I hope you find it helpful and entertaining and had some great laugh with me today. Click right there to watch the next video, and I will see you there. Bye bye.